mighty ADAC GT Masters. We are go. The car's found out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Zandvoort. Welcome back to the seaside as the local wildlife flee for cover because there is about to be a storm. It is the 20th anniversary of the longest running GT3 championship in the world. It is the ADAC GT Masters, and we are getting ready to start race 2 of the weekend, round 2 of a 6-round season, race 4 of a 12-race season. The air temperature, I would say, is just about perfect, a fraction under 25 degrees centigrade, marginally cooler than yesterday. And what a race we had yesterday. It was pretty exciting. Then a late safety car really brought it alive, and it was here that we saw Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman sweep around to take the lead in the BMW, relegating the Holzem twins down to second place. Sandro had qualified on pole position. His twin brother Giuliano also doing a stint in the car in the second part of the race, but they're still going to have to wait, at least they did yesterday, for that first ever win in the ADAC GT Masters. In third place, it was Nicholas Callas and Keanu Blum, and today they are looking to make amends for that because Keanu Blum, in qualifying this morning, earned his first ever pole position, bringing the HRT Mustang, the car that causes the ground to shake when it fires into action, putting that on pole position. Starting alongside him will be the number 63 car with Felix Herziger at the wheel. The two cars that featured so heavily in the season opener at the Red Bull Ring gave us the second closest finish in the ADAC GT Masters. Payback time, maybe. Felix Herziger, Finn Zulauf lead the championship at the moment, but by 8 points from Keanu Blum and Nicholas Callas. In third place, the win yesterday propels Leighton Fury and Tim Zimmerman. They are just 13 points adrift of the championship lead. It's really exciting stuff on this fourth race of a 12-race season, and 4 of the races this season will be endurance races as well. We've got more to tell you about that as we head towards Lausitzring in a few weeks' time, but before that, one more sprint race to go in this sector of the season as we look at the number 14 car there of Mark Kastelik, Pavel Lefterov. Pavel will be doing the first driving stint in that. We also saw that Leighton Fury, yesterday's winner, along with Tim Zimmerman, is going to be starting from third place on the grid, and there's still a score to be settled from the Holzem twins in the number 56 Schubert Motorsport BMW. Expect them to be pushing hard from 6th place on the grid. It's all set fair for what should be another spectacular hour of racing in the ADAC GT Masters. As we look at Leo Pickler getting a little bit of air before the door is shut and the temperature rises inside the cockpit of that Porsche. Before the cars get rolling, it's time for me to introduce myself. My name is Brian Oliver. Very happy to bring you commentary this afternoon for this fourth race of the season. And alongside me, it's a very good afternoon to Chris Hartley.
Afternoon, Brian. Hello, everybody. Yeah, welcome to race 2, round 4 of the ADAC GT Masters Championship here at Zandvoort. So far, 4 qualifying sessions, 4 different pole sitters, 3 races, and 3 different race winners. It's going to be a really close championship, this. Felix Herziger and Finn Zulauf winning on the last corner of race 1 at the Red Bull Ring, ahead of Keanu Blum and Nicholas Callas. It was Herziger versus Callas in that last lap duel, that last corner duel, and maybe redemption today because Keanu Blum has put that HRT Mustang on pole position. The second race at the Red Bull Ring, Leo Pickler and Colin Berninghausen getting their first win as a pairing in the Resume More Than Racing at Porsche and their home race. And yesterday, after a very disappointing opener at the Red Bull Ring, the BMW pairing for FK Performance of Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury getting their first win of the season and their third win as a pairing. They were runners-up last year with a couple of race wins. One here at Zandvoort from 5th on the grid. They were 6th after qualifying 4th going into the first quarter yesterday. Tim Zimmerman didn't get the best of starts, but they recovered brilliantly. There were some great overtakes yesterday as well, wasn't there, Brian? Leighton Fury around the outside on his way to a race win at turn 1, and Keanu Blum around the outside and the banking at turn 14 to make sure he and his teammate Nicholas Callas got their second podium finish of the season.
Yeah, both of those overtakes were the kind that you'd expect to see in NASCAR. Really, really great stuff up on the banking on this circuit that is 4.259 kilometers around, 14 turns, 10 to the right and 4 to the left. And of course, there is that fearsome banking, 19 degrees in turn 3, 18 degrees in turn 14, the Ari Lyondike turn. It really is steep, steep banking. It creates great opportunities for overtaking. Certainly in turn 3, the drivers taking different lines through that corner often to get on top of their opponent. Right, let's have a look at the grid. Nicholas Callas on pole position. Finn Zulauf, no, Felix Hersiger, beg your pardon, alongside. Then it is Leighton Fury with Pavel Lefterov for company on row 2 of the grid. On row 3, Jan Duran and Giuliano Holzem will be lining up alongside each other. Then on row 4, Leo Pickler and Alan Valente, another of the big Mustang cars there on that row 4. On row 5, it's Storm Yerdrum, the 16-year-old in the BMW, has Jonas Karklees for company alongside him. Jonas bringing out the safety car yesterday. We're looking to have no repeats of that. The lone Audi with Robin Rudowski at the wheel. Max Rice lines up at 12th, having all sorts of issues with that car, along with co-driver Emil Yerdrum. Then it's Tim Hooter and Boudoir Detu who line up on row 7. I've just noticed, looking down the grid, we are missing the guest car that started yesterday for Pure Racing with Alexander Malikin and Alexei Nisov at the wheel. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to them. They're not appearing on the timing screen, so it looks like they are non-starters in this race, but we've still got plenty of cars for what is going to be an exciting 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing. It's the warming of the tyres, the warming of the brakes to make sure that when the cars arrive at speed in turn 1, the Tarzan turn in just a few moments. They've got something with which to stop, something with which to turn, and something with which to grip. So Keanu Blum, his first ever pole position, still looking for that first win in ADAC GT Masters. The winner from the Red Bull Ring, Felix Hersiger in the 63 car, alongside him will want to try and beat him into turn 1. The cars side by side will need to pass through their grid boxes. You can see them doing just that as they wait for those 5 red lights to go off, and we're racing here for race 2 at Zandvoort. Keanu Blum cutting to the right and then back to the left. A really good start from him. Hersiger dropping back into the clutches of Leighton Fury. Jan Duran with a good start there in the BMW, the yellow and green car, monstering Felix Hersiger just in front of him. Around turn 2 we come, and a wild ride for the Audi of Felix Hersiger out of 2 up onto the banking at turn 3 and going high around the outside. What a great start from Jan Duran, looking for his first podium at ADAC GT Masters. But what a start from Keanu Blum. He's broken clear, but Leighton Fury in that second place. He's a man on a mission to get properly back into the points hunt in the championship. The Razzoon More Than Racing Porsches in the background with Giuliano Holzem, and Leo Pickler is the man behind the wheel of the number 41 Porsche. Everybody just trying to fight for positions on the opening lap of the race and under investigation. I did wonder whether Alan Valente had broken rank a little bit early at the start of that race. He is under investigation for that. Look at this, first and second and third, absolutely glued together. So Keanu Blum with all of the pressure on his shoulders. He's got yesterday's race winner carrying extra weight, an extra 20 kilos on board of that BMW, monstering him into the last part of the lap. But in the background, Jan Duran in the BMW as well. This could go in any direction at all. Up into turn 13, onto the banking of Lyondike they will come, and then out onto the pit straight, past the pits, in towards turn 1. So many battles going on here. This is great stuff as we head in towards turn 1.
Absolutely mega start, wasn't it, from Jan Duran, 5th on the grid, straight up into 4th place. That's Alan Valente trying to get a place, but it's going to be to no avail because Mustang is going to have to serve a run through the penalty box for that full start on the podium for the first time in a couple of years. Last time out at the Red Bull Ring, it's been more testing for him today, but Jan Duran straight up into 3rd place, up the inside of the Porsche of Mark Kastelitz into Tarzan, and then coming out of the turn, just got on with it on the run through turns 2 into turn 3 to get ahead of championship leader Felix Hersinger, who in the Lamborghini almost dropped down to 5th place. In fact, momentarily he did behind the Porsche of Kastelitz, but he's holding on to that place for now. 2 Porsches for Resume More Than Racing breathing down his neck, getting a replay of the start, and there you can see Alan Valente out of position at the start, which is why he's got to serve this penalty, run through the penalty box, which is on the exit to turn 12. They have to go through that at a reduced speed, cost them about 5 seconds. That is going to put Alan to the very back of the grid, but a really good start for Keanu Blum, who's just got a bit of breathing space ahead of Leighton Fury, yesterday's race winner. Look at that, around the top of the banking for that yellow and green BMW of Jan Duran. The Spaniard, in his first season of not only GT Masters racing, but GT3 racing. He was the Iberian GT4 champion last year. Spoke to him at the Red Bull Ring, Brian, and he was relieved that the Zandvoort circuit wasn't his first GT3 race. He said Red Bull Ring is much easier to get used to in a GT3 car. Zandvoort is going to be a challenge, but I tell you what, a brilliant 5th in qualifying, and he's going like the clappers now, 3rd place already in the race.
Yeah, he really is. And I was talking to Ethan Brown on the Thursday night, and he said, oh, this track is fearsome. He felt quite daunted by it, but after the first session, the first free practice, his first time around here as well, he went, this place is amazing. I absolutely love it. Oh, how quickly they turned. We were riding on board briefly there with Pavel Lefterov, who is sharing with Mark Kastelitz, but Pavel Lefterov on the wheel of that as Alan Valente now passes through the penalty box, drops to stone last. That's going to make it a long, hard afternoon for him. But look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all running in a row. First 3 just marginally clear. Very excited to see what Duran Duran's got up his sleeve here. Remember, the 2nd place car, Leighton Fury, might look identical, but it's carrying that extra 20 kilos of success ballast as a result of that win yesterday. Another of the BMWs, this time with Juliana Holzem at the wheel, has an extra 10 kilograms, but our race leader has an extra 5 kilograms on board, Keanu Blum, as a result of 3rd place yesterday. But the weight penalties don't seem to be slowing him down too much, do they?
So he's got 5 kilograms of success ballast on the Ford Mustang, but all of the Ford Mustangs had a BOP change overnight, and they've got 10 kilograms less BOP weight on the cars. So in total, he's actually 5 kilograms lighter than he was yesterday. I don't think it makes that much difference to him, because Keanu Blum, as we saw yesterday, and as we saw with some of the moves that he pulled off at the Red Bull Ring to get the lead of the race, remember, for much of the race on the Saturday there, doing a fantastic job in this car. He just seems to suit the Mustang. But conversely, not a great start for Felix Hersinger, was it? Down to 4th place, dropping away at the moment from the top 3, from Blum in the Mustang, from the 2 BMWs of Fury and Duran, and really having to work hard to fend off Lefterov and Pickler in those 2 Porsches.
Keep an eye on Storm Yerdrum, the 16-year-old driver, absolutely taking no prisoners. He's in 8th place at the moment. You already see him ducking at a line, the younger brother of Emil Yerdrum in the number 10, the very pretty blue and orange BMW. But he was very entertaining at the Red Bull Ring. It was very entertaining yesterday as the leaders pass through the picture once again. As Keanu Blum has just broken a little bit clear. It said 0.385 when they were last across the start-finish line, but I think he's opened that up a little bit. Leighton Fury in 2nd. The wild boy, Duran Duran, in 3rd place. And Felix Hersinger just trying to recover from what was a difficult start. Then the 2 Razun More Than Racing Porsches with Pavel Lefterov, the Bulgarian, at the wheel of number 14 car. The Austrian Leo Pickler at the wheel of the number 41 car. Juliana Holzem in 7th place. Then it's Storm Yerdrum. Then the Audi, Robin Rogowski ahead of Jonas Karklees in the 163 car. Max Rice will be disappointed at the moment with 11th. They're still, you had a conversation there, didn't you? They're still trying to get on top of that car, aren't they?
Yeah, I spoke to his teammate, co-driver Emil Yerdrum, the Norwegian driver, and they're struggling with an issue on that car. They're not sure what it is, but the car has been about 10 kilometres an hour down on speed compared to the other HRT Mustangs. So it's nothing they can change in time for this race. He said we're just going to have to kind of live with it for this race, but he said it's hard to drive. We're definitely down on power somewhere, and it's just sort of damage limitation, I'm afraid, for them today. Not the start to the season they wanted. They were unlucky, of course, on Sunday at the Red Bull Ring, got some contact and didn't get to finish the race. And it's only a short championship, isn't it, with 12 races? So Emil was saying, you know, you can't really afford to have more than one, maybe two bad rounds. Incidentally, talking about Mustangs, Alain Valente, until just now, had set the fastest lap of the race, a bit fired up after his penalty. However, it's another Mustang that has now gone even quicker, and it's the one that's in the lead of the race. A 136.660 for Keanu Blum. Fastest lap of the race, his gap out to 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, and that just rubs salt into the wound for Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice, really, doesn't it? That the sister car is currently leading the way with the fastest lap. We're on board with Felix Herziger at the moment in 4th place in the number 63 Liqui Team Exler Lamborghini Huracan. Check out the name Exler, did very well in DTM a little bit earlier as well. Here we go again, the 1, 2, 3, 4. So all still very much together. Just in the background, Pavel Leftrov trying to make it a 5-way fight for the lead. Theo Pickler's not exactly out of reach either. For ADAC GT Masters, we have, as if you needed reminding, a mandatory pit stop that will come during the race. There will be a pit window that will open 25 minutes into the race. It will remain open for 10 minutes. During that pit window, every car will need to come in for a mandatory stop and driver change. It is not a performance pit stop. There is a minimum pit stop time of 85 seconds. The drivers must not go below that 85 seconds minimum pit stop time. We saw that happen with 2 cars yesterday, and both of them picked up penalties.
Storm Yerdrum's had an iffy lap. Personally, he's dropped a couple of places in the orange and blue BMW, down to 9th place. So Juliano Holzem leading the second group of cars. Led much of the race yesterday, did the Holzems, of course, when Sandro started the car. But that now, he's up to 7th place. The Audi of Robin Rogowski is up to 8th. And down to 9th place has gone Storm Yerdrum.
We're about to find out why.
Is wide, yeah. Oh, way wide. All onto the gravel with 3 of his 4 tyres there. This place is hard enough on tyres without going through the gravel traps here. And he's got back ahead of the Audi, look. So he's ahead of Rogowski, and Rogowski is coming under fire now from the next of the Ford Mustangs, which is going to be co-driven later on by his brother Emil Yerdrum. So Max Rice trying to get in on the action now as well. So Rogowski's been up and down that top 10 somewhat, hasn't he? And that's going to be, I think, 2 places lost in a lap, or is it? No, he gets his elbows out and keeps the Mustang behind him. That was good driving, but all the time, like, it's allowed Storm Yerdrum to just break free of them. Having got back out of the Audi, he can now go after the next car up the road, which is Juliano Holzem with the BMW.
The wild rides through the gravel, almost a little bit of a trademark for Storm Yerdrum. We spoke to him after the second race at the Red Bull Ring, and he was absolutely buzzing. He was buzzing the following morning, loving his time driving that BMW, but still tried to find the refined edge between the track and the gravel, but making very solid progress there, continuing his march forward. So in that 8th place, having just shown his nose in front of Robin Rogowski. Max Rice in the number 1 car in 10th place, so behind Robin Rogowski, but you can just see that all is not exactly right with that car. Here comes our race leader though, Keanu Blum, Leighton Fury there as well. They've just dropped Jan Duran even a little bit in that 3rd place, and Felix Herziger is there as well, but it's starting to look at the moment a little bit like more of a 2-horse race, but we've still got a lot of time to come, including the pit stops with the mandatory driver change.
Well, the gap's grown because Leighton Fury has now set the fastest lap of the race in 2nd place at 136.615. He was only 0.008 of a second quicker than the race leader, so they are being pretty metronomical, but they are quicker than Jan Duran in 3rd in the next BMW, which is a 136.7, so they gained about 1/10 of a second on him. It's very fine margins as the pair of them make their way out of the chicane, out through turn 12, and into this fast double right at the end of the lap through 13, the 18-degree banking of Ari Lyondike turn at turn 14 next. This is where Keanu Blum drove around the outside of the Aston Martin of Bedouin de Tout yesterday with a fantastic move. The Aston had just got a little bit of gravel on the way into the corner, just got slightly out of shape, and he just flung it around the outside, the Austrian. It was a great move from the former Porsche Carrera Cup racer. But Leighton Fury himself, as I said, did a great move around the outside of this turn 1 at Tarzan, on his way to the race win yesterday. Here we go again. Robbie Rogalski with a very lively Ford Mustang behind him. Max Rice trying to go around the outside now. This is David versus Goliath, the biggest, widest car versus the smallest, most nimble car. A man that's driven both of these types of cars. He's coming up in the background, look, in the next to the Mustangs, which is Alan Valenti, who's raced a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Mercedes, an Audi, sorry, and also now a Mustang in the championship as Rice gets the better run. And apparently he can be quite aggressive with the Audi. You have to be a lot smoother driving style, though, with the Mustang. Not that Max Rice was being overly smooth with that. He was determined to get through. He made it stick, and it was all about the better exit that Max got coming out of turn 3. So ahead of Rogalski, and that puts him now up to 9th place.
Actually looking pretty good there for Max Rice, and you wonder whether they've actually started to get on top, whatever the issue might be. In the background, you saw Baudouin de Tout and Jonas Karklees. They're fighting for position, and also Alan Valente. Now Karklees has broken clear. Alan Valente has got his way past Baudouin de Tout, so Valente will be up into 12th place, and the big Aston Martin left with all the work to do to get past again. Our race leader continues to be Keanu Blum, but he's not getting away from Leighton Fury, just half a second between them. The official Ford Racing Development driver, Keanu Blum, only in his 3rd season of racing cars, can I just point out. He had a couple of seasons in Porsche Sitzcarrera Cup Deutschland, as we've already mentioned, but still very new to this. Leighton Fury has won the championship in almost every series he's ever entered, so no pressure there then for Leighton. Duran, the Spaniard, also finding his feet in the world of GT3 racing as we look down at turn 2, up onto the banking of turn 3, and now we see a challenge potentially for the lead. Leighton Fury just going low, but has he left himself vulnerable to 3rd place? No, he hasn't at the moment, but he took a much tighter line through the bank into turn 3. Now around 4 and 5 we come, the cars bouncing across the curbs, then it'll be down to Scheiblack once again, the deep downhill section into the corner under braking. So Keanu Blum will be aware that Fury is starting to turn the heat up here, and Fury will want to try and see if he can get the job done before Keanu Blum hands the car over to Nicholas Callas.
Getting back on terms with them in the Lambo in 4th place is the championship leader, Felix Hersinger. He's just set the new fastest lap of the race with a 136.4, so it's a 4-way fight for the lead of the race now. The Mustang has got 2 BMWs and a Lamborghini breathing down his neck. They're racing hard. They've also got to think about the long game here. This place is super hard on tyres. Resurfaced in recent times the opening part of the lap. The rest of it is very grainy, and I saw from one of the teams earlier on today the difference between the left-sided tyres and the right-sided tyres, and it's night and day. The tyres that are on the left side of the car, because it's a clockwise circuit, that's they're all the right-handers, that's the side that takes the pounding. They are super grainy, loads of wear and tear on that side. In contrast to that, the tyres on the other side of the car almost look like brand new slicks. They barely get worn, so they'll swap the tyres around. You only get 4 sets to use in GT Masters over the course of a race weekend. 4 sets of new slick tyres, new Pirellis. They have to last you for the practice sessions, 2 qualifying sessions and 2 races. You also get a couple of sets of carryover tyres that you can use in free practice as well. So racing hard, and racing hard with bits of BMW hanging off the back of his car is Storm Yerdrum, who's found a way past Giuliano Holzem. He caught him up pretty quickly. He's on the ragged edge here. He's driving that car by the seat of his pants. Holzem trying to come back at him here, and will get through. Only up at turn 5, or will he? No, Yerdrum's going to hang on around the outside as they go up. Oh! Contact between them. Holzem does well to catch it, and almost had a scary moment heading towards the grass there. But Storm Yerdrum gets through and loses a bit of weight on the car as well. Flings away that bodywork, which gets collected by Robin Rogalski.
Wow. Well, never back off, and that's heading down towards Scheiblack as well. We'll have another look here as well. So it was Holzem in the black, white and red BMW. Storm Yerdrum just gives him that little bit of a squeeze there. The blue smoke as the 2 cars make contact with each other. Then that's part of the rear bumper. We've got the safety car out on track, I think, because of that debris that is there. So the incident is under investigation by our race stewards. I think they do want to have a look at that. The safety car car is out. So the gaps that had been built up, it wasn't massive between Kiana Blum and Leighton Furry. This might actually help Kiana Blum. Well done, that man there, that lady there, who has retrieved that piece of car and flung it over the fence. So it won't be a long safety car here, but it just gives Keanu Blum a chance just to cool the tyres maybe. You talked about the pressure that's put on the tyres here, especially with the banking, and actually a couple of laps behind the safety car might actually help bring the tyres back into the window.
Yeah, and something to bear in mind is the traction control on these cars as well. So a couple of points. Speaking to Storm Yerdrum earlier, he said in qualifying, he said we actually thought the car would be quicker if I turned the traction control off, which it would have been, but I got it a bit wrong, made a bit of a mistake, and it cost me my chance at a really good flying lap in qualifying. So he knew he was out of position. So it's not, even though he's been through the gravel, it's not a massive surprise to see him coming forward. He's up to 7th place now, and of course he's got them all queued up in front of him in that orange and blue FK Performance BMW. The safety car has really helped out Storm Yerdrum here. The other point, also related to BMW and FK Performance, I sort of snuck in on a talk that Tim Zimmerman was giving to a bunch of fans in the FK Performance awning. He did a great job, by the way. He was very humorous, very good at explaining all the elements of the car and all the buttons on the steering wheel, answering all the questions. They got 5 or 6 kids to sit in the car as well. And he was a very entertaining host. But he was talking about the fact that as the tyres get more worn, as the race goes on, they keep altering that traction control and adding more and more to the traction control to help the driver out as the tyres wear down during the course of the race. That's
really interesting insight. And Tim Zimmerman, we see him actually often hosting in the buses on the track safari as well. Clearly very good and really interesting stuff there. Right, lights are out on the safety car. You've seen that it's in on this lap. So Leighton Furry has done a fair few of these over his time, and he's in that 2nd place. He will be laser focused on that Mustang up ahead of him. Keanu Blum will become the de facto safety car once the real one has disappeared off into the distance, which it's about to do now. And it'll be up to Keanu Blum to decide when to hit the accelerator. Leighton Furry will be trying to anticipate that. We saw it yesterday. He was really good on the restart, and that's where he gained an advantage. Jan Duran there in the background as well. So Blum weaving as much as he wants. Now he's onto the accelerator. They can overtake once they get to the line, so they can overtake from now. Blum's made a really good start, actually. Leighton Furry, he's very much there, but look at this around the outside. Is that Pavel Lefteroff? We're on board with Felix Hersiger, but Pavel Lefteroff with a nose in front as well in the Porsche, up into 4th place. So Lefteroff taking advantage of this safety car period. Look at them all up onto the banking, taking different lines. Furry takes the lower line out of turn 3. Now it's a drag race around towards turn 4. This takes a lot of courage up over the blind crest of the hill. Here they come. Keanu Blum keeps his foot buried on the throttle. Leighton Furry's not done yet. Down towards Shy Black they come. Jan Duran in the background, but keep an eye on Pavel Lefteroff, keeping them in view as well. Hersiger's been shuffled down the back. Storm Yerdrum in the background as well. But the challenge for the lead continues. Keanu Blum holding on despite immense pressure. But now Furry with a nose in front, heading in towards turn 9. Still Blum muscles his way back there again. Behind there are challenges, 4 places. Leo Pickler there in the other of the Porsches, also challenging. We're on board briefly with Pavel Lefteroff. He's got Felix Hersiger all over him like the proverbial cheap suit. Now Jan Duran getting shuffled down the order, so Lefteroff up to 3rd place. Jan Duran relegated a position and into the clutches of Felix Hersiger. This is great racing. Storm Yerdrum on the outside. Into 13, they will come. The lead duo have broken clear of the rest of the pack for just a few moments. Leighton Furry's not done yet. Is he going to make a challenge as they head out of Harry Lyndike, out along past the pits, in towards turn 1? Is the challenge going to come now? He's flashing the lights, trying to distract. Keanu Blum is not for distraction. He goes to cover off the inside. Furry's going to try and go the long way round the outside. He can't make it stick. He ducks in down behind. Into 2, they will come, then up onto the bank into turn 3. We know that Furry can go low through turn 3 when they get there, because he did it on the previous lap. Will Keanu Blum try and cover that off? He goes high, Furry goes high. They remain in the same 1-2 at the moment, but now Pavel Lefteroff is bringing the challenge forwards. Fantastic. These are 2 of the most exciting young GT drivers, GT3 drivers that we got in the championship, potentially in the world, this pair. They've been really good value for money so far this season.
these are the two guys that went around the outside of opponents yesterday, on corners where you really shouldn't be able to go around the outside of somebody. And Leighton Fury said, well, I'll try it again. But he tried it on Keanu Blum, and it didn't quite work. But he's trying everything here. Blum still leads, Fury in second. Keep an eye on the next Porsche, the second Porsche as well, of Leo Pickler. He into turn 9. While all that was going on, managed to get ahead of Juliano Holzem's BMW. So he's kind of at the back of this train now as well. Blum, Fury, Lefterov, Durand out of 4th, Herzinger out of 5th. Storm Yerdro in 6th and Pickler in 7th in that lead group. And then the Aston Martin coming under pressure. The 2 tries to fend off Valente. Valente gets the cut back on the inside though, coming out of turn 12, and he gains another place. This is exactly what Alain Valente needed to get rid of some of that time he lost during that run through the penalty box. So Valente, one to watch here, from a runner-up in the championship. Said to me at the start of the weekend he's really enjoying the Mustang. It's the car that's most like the Mercedes that he used to race when he was championship runner-up. Look at Jan Durand, looks right, looks left, tries to find a gap here to get around Pavel Lefterov and get himself back into a podium pace position. He's going to try and fling it around the outside now. The BMW's got his nose in front. He's got the inside line for turn 2, and he'll have the inside line for turn 3. You're on board with Lefterov. He might lose another place here to Felix Herzinger, who gets down the inside of him. He loses 2, he might lose 3 as well, because Storm Yerdrum is about to try and come past him as well. Can't quite get there, but what a fantastic battle. And all the time, look, Leighton Fury is putting huge amounts of pressure on the race leader.
You have to get it pretty early in the morning to put one over Pavel Lefterov, but once he was off the racing line, he kind of left the door open, and suddenly Storm Yerdrum was also thinking about an opportunity as well. But certainly Felix Herzinger took advantage as Duran Duran heads back up into that podium position. We're 2.25 minutes away from the pit window opening there, so some of these drivers may be coming in early when the pit window opens. If the race finished now, Kjell Blum and Nicholas Callas would be leading Felix Herzinger and Finn Zulav by 6 points in the championship. But Leighton Fury, Tim Zimmerman, after a torrid start to the season in the Red Bull Ring, certainly by their standards, will be well back into the championship hunt. Just 10 points behind, but we've still got 36 3/4 minutes of this race remaining, including the stop and the driver change. Everybody all in a line at the moment. Keanu Blum has withstood so much pressure from Leighton Fury. What else has Fury got up his sleeve before he comes in to hand over to Tim Zimmerman?
A race burst into life mid-distance yesterday when the safety car came out, didn't it? Much to the detriment, I'll say, of the Holzem twins, who were looking like they got a nice, comfortable lead until that safety car came out. They were pretty distraught to have finished second. And now look at this, Juliano Holzem coming under fire from Max Rice in the Mustang. They certainly seem to have got that car, as you say, working a bit better. They're about second off the pace in qualifying, a bit more than a second actually for Max Rice in 9th place in qualifying. We're getting towards that 10-minute pit window opening very soon, and this is going to play a key part as well. We saw a couple of teams yesterday who went underneath their minimum pit stop time by a few tenths of a second and ended up getting penalties. You've got to get as close to it as you can. A couple of teams got to within 2 or 3 tenths of a second of the minimum pit stop time. That's between pit lane entry and pit lane exit. But we had a couple that just overstepped the mark as well. And if you overstep the mark by even a thousandth of a second, you are going to pick up a penalty. Max Rice then pushing on. Mustang struggles a little bit with overheating tyres, and so the hot conditions, or hotter than normal conditions for this time of the year that we've had at Zandvoort, have been, I think, a bit to the detriment for some of the Mustangs. Certainly that was the case in DTM. Having said all of that, one of them leads the race, doesn't it? Keanu Blum is driving out of his skin once again.
Nice thing for Keanu Blum is he's got a nice empty track in front of him, so he's got lots of cool, clean air coming his way, and he's propelling all of his dirty air in the direction of Leighton Fury and Jan Durand behind them. I get the feeling, I'm going to be wrong on this, but I get the feeling that when the pit window opens, which it has just done now, that Keanu Blum will want to stay out fairly late. Why would he want to come in? Felix Herzinger is the first to blink, so into the pits comes the 63 car. Finn Zulav will be limbering up in the wings. Also there, Storm Yerdrum comes in with what remains of that BMW, and it'll be Fabio Rao who will jump out, help him out of the car, and then get behind the wheel of the FK Performance Motorsport BMW. Also, Leo Pickler is in as well. He will be handing over to Colin Bernighausen, another graduate from Porsche 6th Carrera Cup Deutschland. You see the Audi there, Robin Rogowski is in, Simon Kodaprim will be taking the wheel of that car. Baudouin Detu is in, the number 39 car. He'll be handing over to Great Britain's Jamie Day, and also Giuliano Holzam will be handing over to his brother Sandro. So quite a few cars jumping quite early, but I don't think any of these are in any hurry to come in at the moment. These three that are leading the way, I feel like Blum will stay out. I don't think Leighton Furry's in any hurry to come in either, if I'm honest. And Jan Duran looking really good in that third place.
Yeah, I would. If I was FK Performance, I'd keep Jan Duran out there as long as I could.
Yeah.
He's been driving brilliantly today. Really impressed with how he's gone. He's new to all of this, of course, don't forget. The same, I know he's true of Keanu Blum, who leads the race, but he's got at least a level of experience with this type of car and come from Porsche Carrera Cup in terms of the power that he's got. Right, cars released then. Make sure they get to the line not a jot before they're meant to.
Oh, look at that for Zulu.
Like 0.4 seconds, but it's green. He's just within, a couple within 0.3 of a second as well. Holsam's had a good stop. Now, Sandro Holsam performed well yesterday, didn't he? So it'll be interesting to see how he goes in the BMW for
now here comes Fury.
Yeah, Fury has come in then. Well, him and Zimmer are pretty evenly matched drivers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So Tim now getting in. Tim was saying when he was doing this talk earlier, if we wanted to, we could do this driver change in under 20 seconds. Of course, they had the minimum pit stop time. He said, but there's a lot to do. You've got to get rid of the net that's in the way, unplug the radio, various points on the seatbelt that you have to undo as well. And of course, most of the drivers have, all the drivers have their own moulded seats because they're pretty similar size, those two, but lots of the driver pairings are different heights and different sizes, aren't they?
Yes, different posterior shapes and all the rest of it. So, but as you say, no great hurry because they have their 85 seconds for pit entry to pit exit, but it needs to be done efficiently. It's also heavily regulated. You can't have swarms of mechanics working on the car. You can't do anything to the car. You can't do wheel changes unless you've got a puncture. So all very, very heavily regulated. As we look at Finn Zulaf, who is our leading stopper at the moment. We've already seen Leighton Furry in to hand over to Tim Zimmerman. Also into the pits is the number 19 car, Tim Hooter, handing over to Singaporean Ethan Brown, who will take the wheel of the other of the Liquimoli Team Engster Lamborghinis. So there is the 63 car. At the moment, Keanu Blum with that empty track in front of him, continuing on his way ahead of Jan Durand, about 0.9 of a second. So he's not breaking clear of the BMW in second place. Yeah,
the whole stop cost you about a lap, as you're about to see, with that BMW coming out and into the path of Finn Zulauf, who is already focused, already in his mind up to speed, getting through. Tim Hooter by fraction luck is probably going to get a penalty. I'll check it, but it looks like he might have undercut the pit stop minimum time. And the leader has come in off the racetrack. So he is out already. Keanu Blum is replaced by Nicholas Callas now, who's about to get in. So this is key for the car that's out on track that was going up against, and Tim Zimmerman's got to get his head down now. Zulaf, though, is in front of him. Zulaf is a winner here last year, a pole sitter for race 2 as well in that Lamborghini. So he's not going to be the work of a moment to get past him. So that Lamborghini in a good spot here ahead of the BMW, but it's the BMW. Or the Mustang rather of HRT, Keanu Blum and Nicholas Callas. So we've got to keep an eye on where is it going to come out, just in front of or just behind this pair. How brave are they going to be with the clock, because we saw how close they were on track prior to the pit window opening, and I expect Tim Zimmerman will have done an epic outlap because it's what he does. Finn Zulaf has certainly timed it well. He has also done a good outlap. So they are currently up heading towards turn 13 at the moment. Now the number 2 car with Nicholas Callas at the wheel is moving. He's heading out into the pit lane, but remember, these 2 cars we're looking at, Finn Zulaf and Tim Zimmerman, have all the momentum. They have the heat into the tyres. There is the Mustang on the left-hand side of your picture and Nicholas Callas at the wheel. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think we're going to see Finn Zulaf sweep into what could be the net lead of this race. So the 63 car passes the Mustang of Nicholas Callas. Tim Zimmerman is also going to try and wrestle his way past as well. So the early race leader shuffled from the lead of the race, now down to third place, fighting back, but trying to get up to speed with the tyres, having cooled down, having been stationary. Into the pits comes the 163 car. Jonas Carcleese will be handing over to John Paul Southern. We've still got 4 more cars to come. Jan Durand staying out late in the pit window. He's still got 4 minutes, 25 seconds in which to come in. Pavel Lefterov is there as well, staying out on track before he hands over
over to Mark Castellitz.
Fabio Rao doing a great job as well. Now that orange and blue FK Performance BMW started by Storm Yerdrum was 6th, wasn't it, before the pit stop phase? Well, at the moment, he could be in a net 4th place. He's not far behind the top 3 pit stoppers. Zulauf in the Lamborghini, Zimmerman in the BMW, and then the Mustang there, the maroon Mustang of Callas. And then there, look, is the orange and blue BMW of Fabio Rao. Him and Storm Yerdrum, the youngest driver pairing in the field, 3rd youngest driver pairing ever in the championship, average age of just over 18 years of age between them.
Yeah, it certainly is a young person's championship. Right, well, Ethan Brown, I'm afraid, has picked up a penalty lap for going below the minimum pit stop time. So that's a really, really tough one because it was so close. But Ethan, who took over, and Tim Hooter will have to visit the penalty box. Look at this here. Fabio Rao now challenging for position in the number 10 car. So Fabio Rao alongside Nicholas Callas. So Callas in the Mustang, seeing the BMW alongside into Tarzan. Turn 1, it's a drag race out of 1 in towards 2, but Rauer with a nose in front now, so shuffling the long-time race leader even further back down. Callas goes really high on the banking, but that BMW, as was the case with Furry and Zimmerman, able to take a much tighter line through turn 3. Out of 3 they come in towards turn 4. Job done.
Yeah, well done, Fabio Rao, the German driver. That was a really good move. He was a race winner last year in the Italian GT Endurance Championship. He's about to turn 20 in a couple of weeks' time, getting himself there ahead of Nicholas Callas. In then we've got the Razun More Than Racing Porsche with Mark Castellitz about to take over from Pavel Lefterov. That's going to be somewhere in the mix for a top 6 finish as well, potentially. Alain Valente into the pits as well. And crucially, Jan Duran has stayed out pretty much to the end of his stint. So he now hands over to Joseph Ellery, the South African driver. Might have stayed out maybe for another lap or 2, potentially could have. But Joseph now has got to see what he can do. This is going to be tight because the leading pit stopper is just coming into turn 13 here. And the Lamborghini, Finn Zulauf, about to come through the last turn. They're going to be absolutely together, aren't they?
Yeah, so he has to keep to the speed limit within the pit lane. He mustn't go any quicker than that, so it's going to feel a bit painful. Mark Castellitz in the background. Alain Valente will need to come in this time around because he won't have enough time to come around again. Right into the corner comes the Lamborghini, well ahead actually. So back up to speed will come Joseph Ellery. Also Tim Zimmerman there as well, sweeping past. So Mark Castellitz in the background. So after all the pit stops are done and dusted, Valente is in. It's Finn Zulauf who is looking to inherit the lead of this race. Now Valente is in, handing over to Max Cucuresi. So the pit window will close in just a few minutes. Everybody has indeed pitted as we ride on board with Nicholas Callas, the car that had led for so long. Currently down in 7th place, soon to be 6th place, but having led so much of the race, that'll feel like something of a loss for the HRT team.
Yeah, I remember the Lamborghini was the one that came in right at the top of the pit window, wasn't it? Hursinger trying something different. You could see there was a queue ahead of him. Look at this, at the inside goes Fabio Rao to get ahead of the Porsche now. So Castellitz loses a place. And going on a real charge here, Fabio Rao, really impressive at the start of his stint here, on board with Nicholas Callas, who we already overtook beforehand. And he is now itching to find a way past that number 14, Razun More Than Racing Porsche. Brake lights come on simultaneously. The inside line is covered by the Porsche. Hits the curb with the front right. You go left through turn 12. Won't be able to pass here, Nicholas Callas. But we know the Ford, that big V8, pretty quick in a straight line. If he can just stick with him through this turn at turn 14, slingshot around, he might have a chance to dive up the inside or maybe even around the outside going into the first corner at Tarzan, but he's a couple of car lengths back, isn't he?
He is. So we head along the pit straight in towards turn 1. Max Cucuresi there, the last of the stoppers. So it is Finn Zulauf who will re-inherit the lead. It's Tim Zimmerman in 2nd place, Joseph Ellery in 3rd place, but so much to play for because Fabio Rao, very similar driving style to Storm Yerdrum, something like that, onto the inside of the number 14 car, Mark Castellitz, and in the background, Nicholas Callas as well. What a scrap this is proving to be. The leader, though, looking pretty comfortable. Finn Zulauf looking reasonably clear at the front of the pack, as we see Emil Yerdrum also in amongst all the action as well. He's in 7th place. Max Cucuresi there. Also Sandro Holzem and Simon Conoprim in the 77 Audi. At the back of that queue is Colin Berninghouse in 11th place.
Yes, it's a good turnaround, isn't it, for the HRT Mustang of Valentin Cucuresi. Valente staying out as long as he could. Remember, he picked up a 5-second penalty, had to go through the penalty box for being out of position at the start, but then got some of that back with thanks to the safety car, but he still hadn't got the positions back. He was stone last. Well, up to 8th place now, also benefiting through that phase. The number 1 Mustang, the blue and gold one, now driven by Emil Yerdrum. That is up to 7th place. Look at this, Simon Conoprim, we know he's a really good driver. Race winner here last year, trying to get alongside the Colin Berninghouse and Porsche, but also defend from Jamie Day's Aston Martin for Come To You Racing. Jamie Day gets clobbered on the way into the right-hander at turn 13. Undeterred, looks to the inside line, backs off out of that, kicking up the dash just in front of them is the Porsche. Oh, there's almost contact. There is contact into the barriers, into the wall goes the Audi of Simon Conoprim. Contact because slowing in front of them already, I think, was that Mustang of Max Cucuresi. I think he had a problem already had a moment.
Safety car.
They were all 3 of them together and they came upon this slowing Mustang, and that was just wrong place, wrong time. Hopefully the driver is okay, because that is just about the quickest corner on the track. They come out of that at 200 kilometres an hour.
That was a proper NASCAR-style crash, wasn't it? Sliding up the barrier with blue smoke going. And inevitably, safety car is out. Out of the car gets Simon Conoprim, so that is good news. We're just checking in on Max Cucuresi. The master's just checking that he's all okay as well. You can see the car is looking certainly a lot worse for wear. Clearing the debris on that part of the track. That was a wild moment, that was. The 2 cars coming together, sliding along the barrier, the blue smoke rising up into the air. Inevitably, safety car is going to come out. Let's have a look here. Jamie Day was at the back of that queue there, was up high.
Crazy, it's been off, hadn't he?
Yeah, he had. So he was trying to rejoin, having had that moment. Simon Conoprim, the back end coming around and then sliding up the wall and across the track, and the Liquid Modi car in the background doing well to avoid getting involved as well. So up ahead, Cucuresi is having a moment, and then Simon Conoprim just finds him coming back up to speed. Really nobody's fault in terms of nothing dirty going on, just a racing incident. I think the stewards will probably agree with that. But it's meant some heavy damage for 2 of the cars. Safety car is out. Certainly those 2 cars are going to be out of the race.
Yeah, it was really unlucky for Simon Conoprim. He's having this pretty fearsome scrap with the Aston Martin just behind him. He's got his eye on his mirrors. He's trying to attack the Mustang in front, and then the Mustang rejoining from its visit to the gravel of Cucuresi, and he had nowhere to go, really, absolutely nowhere to go. Clipped the Mustang, sent him off into the barriers. I'm just pleased he's okay. We've seen that the marshals are communicating with Max Cucuresi, telling him to move the car, so that seems to suggest that Max, thankfully, is okay as well. Safety car straight out. Immediately the race director reacting to that. So real bad luck for Simon Conoprim, who was a race winner here last year for Power Motorsport alongside Finn Zulauf in the Lamborghini. He's moved to the Audi this year. So the safety car bunches them all up. So Finn Zulauf, who in that Lamborghini, the team was 4th going into that pit stop phase. They came out in 1st place. Tim Zimmerman is the leading BMW in 2nd. Fabio Rauer up into a podium position now in 3rd. Good to see Max Cucuresi out of the car. And Joseph Ellerine in 4th place. That was the car started by Jan Duran, but we are going to get a red flag.
Oh, and that may well be because of damage to the barrier. So the cars are going to be brought back probably to the pit lane. I imagine, well, they'll certainly keep them low coming through that corner. So the red flag, the clock will stop, and the cars will come to a stop here as well. It may well be there's been some damage to the barrier, so we will need to just wait for any further news that might come about that. Not the first red flag we have seen here at Zandvoort this weekend in various classes that we've been watching. It is a track that does certainly create some very lively racing, and it does seem to caught a few safety cars as well. So, well, the cars that we saw involved in that are under investigation for causing a collision. particularly car 74 Max Cucuresi, but that's kind of a moot point in terms of this race.
Yeah.
Because certainly the two main contenders there are out of the race with damage.
Yeah, just a correction, it's Robin Rogalski, isn't it, in that Audi now? It's just changed over, so Simon Conor Prim was in earlier, Rogalski in now, and he's the one that's out of the car.
It was actually Simon Conor
It was
Prim.
Simon Conor Prim.
We had a message to change the driver ID.
Oh, okay.
They do have to switch it manually when they get in the car, and there was a message to change the driver ID. It never actually happened.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it was Simon Conor Prim.
It says Rogalski on the timing
Yes.
screen, doesn't it? Yeah. So it was right first time. It was Simon Conor Prim. Yeah, that was a hair-raising moment. I mean, just the wrong place, wrong time. Those three, intense battle that was going on. He was looking in front of him, to the side of him, behind him in the mirrors, and then did not expect this black and red Ford Mustang to be rejoining from its visit to the gravel trap, and zero time to react, zero opportunity, really. I tell you what, though, you mentioned the Lamborghini in the background. I think it was John Paul Southern in the number 163
It was.
Liqui Moly Lamborghini. What reactions from him? Because he could have easily collected all of that, couldn't he?
That's what is known in the trade as a code brown, as the cars are brought back to a stop on the pit straight. So, yeah, that's wild. You're coming out of that bank corner. The idea of the banking out of 13 into 14 is it effectively extends the pit straight. The drivers can get onto the accelerator and take that corner, in theory, flat out. So you're giving it full beans around a corner without a great deal of visibility and out onto the straight. So to find a couple of cars across the track there, I did well to avoid a bit of a train wreck.
So who does this stoppage and hopefully a potential restart suit? The fact they've stopped them on the grid is a positive sign in terms of a restart, because if they were thinking straight away, we're not going to be able to carry on with this, I think they've sent them straight into the pit lane, but they've given themselves the option. There's still a fair bit of the race to go. We're not yet at 3/4 race distance, which is where you'd be wanting to declare a result. 20 minutes, 28 seconds is where the clock stopped in this 1 hour plus 1 lap race. Zulauf leading, Zimmerman second, yesterday's winner. Rauer looking really racy, wasn't he, in third place. And, well, Stormy Erdrum said to me, we're out of position. We're quicker than we qualified, and that certainly seems to have been the case. Plus, he had an off, didn't he, through the gravel trap when he was in the car storm earlier on, and yet they've got themselves up to third. Really good stuff from Fabio Rau once he got into the car. Joseph Allerin in fourth place, but just been overtaken before all of that carnage happened. And then the first of the Porsches is Mark Kastelitz in number 14, running in fifth place. But Nicholas Callas, of course, that car was in the lead of the race when Keanu Blum, before the pit stops, they lost out in the pit stop phase. And it's now back in sixth position, just ahead of Emil Yerdrum, who's going better than I think he might have expected this morning after they struggled in qualifying with the number 1 Mustang. He's seventh.
Right, confirmed restart in 8.5 minutes, just over 8.5 minutes. So not too long a wait here. Time just to quickly put the kettle on. Bring one for me as well while you're at it. I think the red flag, I don't think there's any damage to the barrier. I think the race director could see on a fairly blind section of the circuit that actually bringing cars around even behind the safety car would be unsafe. And I think when you're looking at the exit of Lyondike turn 14, I think the red flag was just so there was no moving traffic on the circuit at all, because you can see there they're needing to get a couple of low loaders on to get those cars off. Right, we're having another look here. Jamie Day had a great view of this, so we'd probably rather have not, but hey, there we go. Also in there, Colin Birninghauser. But up ahead, just out of shot, Max Cucuresi was having a big moment all of his own. He was onto the dirt, and then he was to rejoin right in front of the number 77 car of Simon Conor Prim. Then we had the NASCAR-style slide up the wall, the smoke everywhere, but both cars with a lot of damage, and that meant that both of them were out of the race. Brought out the red flag, so we're going to scoop those up, move them away. But we've seen some great racing from the GT Masters, both yesterday and today. And when the safety car comes out, it does seem to spice it up a bit as well. I think Tim Zimmerman, I think even Fabio Rauer might be having eyes on the top step of the podium in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And why not? Because they both look very racy so far. And they got Zulauf lined up right in front of them. But he's not going to be a pushover. He's a very good driver, Finn Zulauf. So let's see. Seeing that replay again, though, absolutely nowhere to go, was there, for Simon Conor Prim. Cucuresi, it's the natural thing. You've gone off into the gravel. You're in quite a good position. You scramble it back on track, and you just want to get back on track as soon as you can.
Yeah.
But as he rejoined, I mean, he luckily for Colin Benninghausen, he just got past before that Mustang then came back on the track. And as it came back onto the track, it kind of squeezed to the inside the Audi. There was the contact. Then the Audi oversteered through the corner, went left instead of right where it wanted to go, and into the barriers, into the wall rather, sideways. So yeah, I think Simon Conlon will be like, oh, why did you not wait until you rejoined?
Yeah.
But as a racing driver, you've gone off. You just, all adrenaline flow, you just get out of that gravel track, get back onto the track. But I just don't think Max saw those cars coming, did he? And it was just nowhere to go for the Audi driver, unfortunately.
No, and it's your racing driver instinct just to keep going. I mean, the stewards are looking at that in relation to Max Cucurese. I would say look after the Audi. There's not many of them around nowadays. The old Audi R8, there's still life in the old dog yet. Well, there isn't in this race, but on the whole, there's a few of them around, and it's still good to see that it's mega competitive still in ADAC GT Masters. The Liqui Moly team look on, and Team Engster do a great job. There's Felix Hersiger in the white overalls, just having a sip of the drink. Yes, we're watching you. Looking at the monitors as well. So they will be thinking long and hard about what Finn Zulaf is going to do when this race gets going, because he's going to feel a little bit ganged up on by a load of BMWs. At the moment, it's a Lamborghini Huracan at the front, then 3 BMWs, then Mark Castellitz in the Porsche, then a couple of mighty Fords with Nicholas Callas and Emil Yerdrum at the wheel. And I have to say, Emil Yerdrum has done a great job along with Max Rice in a car that they've said they're struggling with, doesn't have the power, is now up with the sister car that started on pole position that had Nicholas Callas and Keanu Bloom at the wheel. So they've done a really good job there, getting back into the race. Sandro Holzem in 8th place in the BMW. I think he'll probably be a little bit disappointed with that, particularly when you consider that they were very much contenders for the race win yesterday. Colin Berninghausen in 9th and Jamie Day in 10th. But with the cars all lined up in single file, anything can happen here in ADAC GT Masters. We saw it yesterday. We've seen it in the past. The audience that are catching the rays in the sand dunes have seen it many times too. They're about to see it again, as this, the 4th race of the season, will be getting going in just a few minutes. In about 4.5 minutes, we should be going again. And the cameramen waving at us, we wave back at you, doing a great job. Towel over the head, try not to get too much sun, lots of factor 50 on and all the rest of it. It's all part of a glorious day by the seaside here in Zandvoort.
Yeah, it's a nice breeze today as well, just to take a bit of that intensity out of the sun, out of the heat. Emil Yerdrum was telling me yesterday about all the different settings on the Mustang, and about the servo setting, the amount of basically resistance and the weight that comes from the steering wheel, and how you can change that. And you can actually change it in the cockpit. It's not something you have to set up before you go into the car and you have to leave it. The driver can operate and change it. The lightness, the reaction of the steering when it's on its heaviest setting. You said, through a quick corner and a long corner like turn 14 here, which we're looking at in the background, where we've just had this incident. He said, you can really feel it in your shoulders. You've got kind of 30 kilograms being pushed through your shoulder muscles. And going back to Tim Zimmerman, when he was doing his talk earlier in the FK Performance awning and showing everybody around his car, he was asked about the weight of the car, and he said, well, actually it's quite heavy. It's over 1,200 kilograms, the BMW. He said, but a lot of the reason for that is because of all the electronics that we have on the car. There's traction control, there's ABS, there's sensors for everything. And then he joked and said, well, actually, part of the problem is the sensors for everything. So there's no hiding for the racing drivers. So we have 3 engineers telling us what we should be doing properly, what we're doing wrong every time we get back to the car. Just a quick tot up on the points. It's probably futile, this, because on the restart,
it'll all change.
It'll all change. But as it stands, the championship leaders are winning the race. So it stands to reason they're going to extend their championship lead. They're on course, Felix Hersinger and Finn Zulaf, for 25 points. They've become the first double winners of the season, if they can do it, because I've had 3 different winners so far from the first 3 races. So they move on to 85 points. And would extend their championship lead. Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury would move up to 2nd in the championship by my maths on 67 points. They're currently on course for a 2nd place finish to add to the win they got yesterday. And now in 6th place in this race, Nicholas Callas and Keanu Blum would drop to 3rd on 62 points, with Mark Castellitz and Pavel Lefterov 4th on 52 points, and 46 points apiece for Pickler and Berninghausen in the other Resume More Than Racing Porsche, and the Schubert Motorsport BMW of the Halsen twins. That said, it will all change. And also, as we see Leighton Fury walking back to the team, teammate to Tim Zimmerman in second place, I'd keep an eye on Sandro Holsom on this restart because he was rapid yesterday, wasn't he? And he got pole position, got their first pole position yesterday. So Sandro in 8th place in the Schubert BMW, car number 56. He'll be absolutely delighted that they're all bunched up in front of him for this restart.
Yes, of course, a former DTM driver has done a couple of years at GT Masters as well now, so certainly no slouch. As you say, we know how quick the BMWs are on account of the fact that the remaining ones are 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Thank you, by the way, for keeping on top of the maths, because I haven't got a clue, to be honest. So it's really good that somebody can add up around here. But yes, here we go. That's what remains of the field here, all in a line, but it's going to be a bit of a dash for the cash here. What will happen is in a few moments, just looking at the time, in about 1 minute from now, the doors will shut, the engines will start running. You can see the 1 minute board being shown. The cars will probably do 1 lap behind the safety car. Once they're rolling on the grid, the clock will start to count down again. So the race will be effectively underway, although there'll be no overtaking. And then if the race director is happy and he's sure that everything is good, then the next time around, the safety car will peel off into the pits and Finn Zulauf will then lead them across the line. But I think Tim Zimmerman, Fabio Rau particularly, are going to be looking to make up places. As you say, I think keep an eye on Sandro Holsom from 8th place. But there's so much quality in there as well. I don't think Nicholas Callas is done yet in 6th place. Colin Berninghausen certainly isn't done. Jamie Day certainly isn't done. And many, many others. So this is going to be a fairly exciting end to the race, I think. We saw it yesterday. I think we're going to see it again today. Nobody giving up until the checkered flag falls. Yeah,
I was going to say Jamie Day was quick in the first stint yesterday, wasn't he, in that Aston? So and we already saw how racy he was getting just before that all kicked off with Colin Berninghausen's Porsche and of course, Simon Conrad Prim in the Audi. So heading off, ready for the restart, the rolling restart. The clock already starts to tick down on this lap, so actually it's probably only going to be about 18 minutes, maybe just under left when they get the race back up to full speed. The Road to DTM Championship for the younger drivers is also a key feature of GT Masters racing these days, and the overall champion and winner of the Road to DTM last year was Finn Wiebelhaus, who has now been promoted up into the DTM and very nearly got a pole position last time out at the Red Bull Ring in his second ever qualifying session in DTM. So it's great that the ADAC run the championship and run the DTM, are promoting and trying to help up the ladder these young drivers. In that championship, the drivers score points not just for the race, because obviously you get the same points in the race as your teammate, but critically the difference is they get points in qualifying as well, with each driver scoring the relevant points for their particular qualifying session. One does Saturday qualifying, one does Sunday. 10 points for qualifying as the top Road to DTM driver, 9 for second, and down in 1 point increments. So as it stands, by my maths, with the win at the moment coming his way, Finn Zulauf would extend his lead in the Road to DTM Championship. He'd be on 97 points. Leighton Fury would move from 4th to 2nd on 79, 75 for Keanu Blunt, and 73 for his teammate Nicholas Callas. But as I say, probably futile all of this. It's all about to change.
And unusually in the Road to DTM Championship, you can lose points, because if you get penalties, if you get grid drops or black and white flags, you can tot up negative points, have points taken off. So you might think you've got a healthy lead and suddenly find it taken away if you are deemed to have been a naughty driver in the eyes of the steward.
Yeah, Giuliano Holsom, Simon Conrad Prim and Jamie Day have all had points deducted so far this season.
Sat on the naughty step, the equivalent of detention. Much more painful to a racing driver. Take the points away. That really does sting. Yeah. Right, lights are up on the safety car. Finn Zulauf doing all the weaving, as was the case before. Tim Zimmerman laser focused on all that's ahead. Now Zulauf, he's going to go early, just heading into turn 13 now. He's decided to go, cannot overtake until they get to the white line, so they can line up the car in front, but they cannot actually make a move. They're fanning out of turn 14 at the moment. Out across the line we come. I don't think anybody overtook, but Nicholas Callas was blooming close to it, wasn't he? He's now got a nose in front of Joseph Ellerine into turn 1, but he's gone deep. And that's allowed Mark Castellitz through. And Joseph Ellerine, all that hard work from Jan Duran, he drops to stone last. What a shame in turn 1. Getting it wrong under braking on board with Nicholas Callas now. And he has got a BMW and a Porsche behind him, putting all the pressure on. That BMW, Sandro Holsom, We said keep an eye on him. He's up one place at the moment. Finn Zulaf leads Tim Zimmerman, Fabio Rao, Mark Kastelitz, Emil Yerdrum in 5th place. A solid performance from him. Now, having got in front, Nicholas Callas in the Ford Mustang. Right, message and race control. Car 2 under investigation for overtaking under the safety car. That is Nicholas Callas. We said we thought they'd gone a little bit early, and this would be significant in the championship. The pole-sitting car under investigation for potentially overtaking before the white line.
Yeah, Nellerine got done, didn't he, off the line, and then done again on the way into turn 1. So that yellow and green BMW, as you say, tumbling all the way to the last of the remaining runners in this race. Let's have a look then on the replay.
So it was here, wasn't it? That is where the investigation is, and he will argue that Ellerine was slowing down.
Yeah.
And that will be the argument from the team, I think,
Yeah,
as we see him coming through.
Just didn't nail the restart, did he, Ellerine? And it bottlenecked everybody up, and he was sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, Nicholas Callas, wasn't it? If he backed right off, he probably would have lost loads of places himself. But then it all went wrong anyway at the right-hander at Tarzan, and as you said, Kastelitz was all that was wisest to it all. He watched it all go on and just snuck up the inside of everybody into turn 1. This is what it looked like from Callas's point of view. Trying, isn't he, not to try to hold back, but yeah, I think he did get ahead just before that start-finish line. So Zulaf, Zimmerman, Rao are the top 3, then a big gap back to Kastelitz, and Emil Yerdrum. I mean, he wouldn't normally be over the moon with the 5th place, but given where the car has been so far this weekend, he'd be absolutely delighted, I think, if he could rescue a 5th place out of this.
And he's the leading Mustang as well, may I add to that. So there he is at the front of the queue. Nicholas Callas, I should think the engineers are on the phone to the race directors as we speak, saying hello. But in the background there, Colin Berninghausen, we saw how good he was in the number 41 car, along with Leo Pickler, of course, taking the win at the Red Bull Ring, now getting involved in the battle here.
Callas out wide. He was trying to defend and attack at the same time. Trying to defend from Colin Berninghausen. Now goes on the attack alongside Emil Yerdrum in the Mustang. Two Mustangs, two teammates together through the gravel trap, losing traction, almost losing the car completely, but great recovery from Emil Yerdrum. But he has lost that place to Colin Berninghausen in the red and white Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche, the Austrian team. The German driver now onto the tail of Nicholas Callas, and looking quicker than him as well. Nicholas struggling a little bit, isn't he, at this phase of the race. They're coming into turn 14, battling over 5th and 6th positions. Keep an eye on Jamie Day just behind as well. He looks like he's starting to come good. He's there in 9th place, trying to go with Sandro Olsem. This is a replay of the move. This is the coming together, just the lightest of touches. Wouldn't have felt that light to Emil, I don't suppose. But into the gravel, he is sent. No traction, no acceleration, and easy pickings then for the Porsche of Berninghausen.
Oh, that was a big twitch. He did well to hold on to that, didn't he? But he's kept it pointing in the right direction, albeit in 7th place. So Nicholas Callas breaks clear at the moment. Colin Berninghausen keeping him in sight. Up the road from them, Mark Kastelitz is still there. Fabio Rauer, Tim Zimmerman in 2nd place, but it's Finn Zulauf who leads the way. 1.48 seconds clear of Tim Zimmerman in that 2nd place. We have that investigation for car number 2, Nicholas Callas, at the moment, but we've got no verdict on it. I expect they'll be looking at that very closely in the race control. Colin Berninghausen in 6th place, now with nobody immediately behind him, feels free to launch the attack on Nicholas Callas, because Emil Yerdrum, after that twitchy moment, has dropped right back into the clutches of Sandro Holzer. Right, what is happening here? Car number 2 to fall back behind car number 1. So that's going to really hurt Nicholas Callas, because Emil Yerdrum has already lost a place to Colin Berninghausen. So Berninghausen gets promoted to 5th. Emil Yerdrum will get promoted to 6th, and Nicholas Callas is going to have to do all that hard work again.
Look at Sandro Olsem and Jamie Day itching to get involved in this, in the BMW and the Aston Martin just behind. So too John Paul Southern, who goes left, right, left again, tries to find a gap, can't find a gap, and then Lamborghini sideways for Emil Yerdrum, and then back ahead of him is going to come Nicholas Callas, and so too the BMW of Sandro Olsem as they whip together, all 3 of them coming out of turn 14, over 200 kilometres an hour. Now now up to 252 kilometres an hour. All together on the brakes. Holzem's on the inside. He gets through, and Jamie Day is going to try and follow suit in the Aston Martin. Emil Yildirim has got to stand strong here on the outside. Keep that Mustang there, and just about fends off the Aston.
Welcome to GT Masters, everybody. What great racing here. Nicholas Callas out on top again at the moment, having had to give that position back. So the number 2 car, then followed by Sandro Holzem. But look at this behind Emil Yildirim and Jamie Day. Jamie Day has the inside here, but that will then become the outside. So Yildirim with that position. Another wild ride, the back end sliding. Surely he's going to be unsettled as they head into Scheiblack. Has he got a deflating tyre, or is it just handling on that car? Jamie Day now with a nose in front. Behind there, John Paul Southern pokes his nose in as well. Also there is Ethan Brown. He wants to get involved in this battle. So a wild ride for Emil Yildirim, trying to hold on to that Mustang.
On the edge, wasn't it? Absolutely on the edge, and a couple of eye-widening moments for the Norwegian driver. He recovered them well. He has, though, as you say, dropped that back down behind the Aston Martin, and also that Lambo of John Paul Southern, the American, going well here. Looks actually the quicker of this any driver in this group, doesn't he? Well, Yildirim, look, getting himself gathered back together, dusting himself off, not letting the Aston or the Lamborghini get out of sight at the moment. Fantastic battling going on. Berninghausen has got ahead of Callas and up to 5th place then, so they've really turned things around since this restart. Colin Berninghausen, remember, was 9th for the restart. He's up to 5th place now, and he very nearly was the first one to collect that Max Cucurese Mustang, which caused the red flag. There's a replay of on board with Nicholas Callas, the battle that he was having with the sister Mustang. Look at this. Whoa, absolutely drifting his way through the corner.
Nicholas Callas had that investigation to do with the start. Now the other protagonist is under investigation, this time Joseph Ellery, for failing the safety car restart. So the stewards, I think it's probably fairly fair, rather than giving a penalty to Nicholas Callas in terms of a penalty lap, just telling him to give places back. But I think Joseph Ellery now under investigation as well for that slow start. As we look again at Emil Yildirim, well, some great car control from that particular driver who comes all the way from Norway, of course, with his younger brother. But the Brit in the 39 car, Jamie Day, sliding through there as well. But some great racing, but a really wild ride for Emil Yildirim.
Yeah, him and his dad and his brother race minis, don't they, at home in Norway. So be used to driving sideways, four-wheel drifting. He's got a bit more horsepower. That's the only difference in this V8 Mustang, 600 horsepower or thereabouts. So, catch your breath. Finn Zulauf, 10 minutes to go, plus a lap, leads the race. While all that carnage has been going on, he's quite been getting on about his business. He's extended his lead, look, to 2.8 seconds to the BMW of Tim Zimmerman, who in turns only about 6 or 7 tenths of a second ahead of the next BMW of Fabio Rauer in 3rd place. And then about a second back from him, Mark Kastelitz in the Porsche, who is quicker as well. Took 3 tenths out of Fabio Rauer. So that's the next battle that's coming, the one for the final spot on the podium.
It's not all over yet. 9.5 minutes remaining of race 4 of the season. The 2nd sprint round, the 4th sprint race of this season. And Ethan Brown, the driver that comes all the way from Singapore to race here, now challenging Emil Yildirim. So the driver, when he started in practice, was several seconds off the quickest time, has really picked up the paces. He's learnt this track, his first ever foray here to Circuit Zandvoort, and now the far more experienced Emil Yildirim up ahead of him in the Ford Mustang, starting to feel the pressure from the Lamborghini Huracan with Ethan Brown at the wheel. It's 10th place. Emil Yildirim, you feel as though maybe the tyres have gone away. They've been on these tyres for nearly 50 minutes of racing, and it just feels like it's all a bit tired, pardon the pun, in the number 1 Mustang. But Ethan Brown is there. In the background is Joseph Ellery as well.
Mark Kastelitz in the first of the Porsches, 4th place, the number 14 car, continues to take time out of Fabio Rauer's BMW each and every sector. He was 4 tenths quicker on the last lap. He was another couple of tenths quicker through the first sector of this lap as well. So that gap from 3rd to 4th, I suspect at the end of this lap, it's going to be down to less than a second. Other end of the spectrum, Zulauf just continues to press on. He's 3.5, maybe towards 4 seconds clear now of Tim Zimmermann in second place. Then Rauer. Then you see the Porsche going through. Yeah, the Porsche is only 9/10 behind Rauer. Rauer has caught up a little bit to Zimmermann as well. So third is catching second. They're both being caught by fourth. And it is all starting to bunch up in this remaining 7 3/4 minutes between Zimmermann, Rauer and Kastelitz, for 3 of them fighting for just 2 places on the podium.
And remember that Tim Zimmermann is carrying that extra 20 kilos of success ballast in comparison to the identical car that has been driven by Fabio Rauer. So maybe that's just affecting his pace a little bit in the closing stages of this race as well.
Yeah, it's more weight to carry out of the corners, more weight on the brakes to try and slow down, but crucially it's more a heavier car, is more wear and tear on the tyres, which are going to be really suffering at the end of this weekend now as well. So yeah, Tim Zimmermann, he will not be disappointed if he can get second place out of this, maybe even third he'll be pretty happy with, but definitely want to hang on to the podium. That though is going to be a real fight. Colin Berninghausen is about 2 seconds behind them in 5th place in the next Porsche. Then it's Nicholas Callas in 6th place currently. So points-wise, as I say, the championship leaders extending their advantage. It's still, they'll be on 85 points. Zimmermann and Fury 67 if it stays like this, 63 for Blum and Callas, and 54 for Kastelitz and Pavel Lefterov. So actually it's only going to be, what, 13 points between 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship. Long way to go yet though.
Riding on board with Mark Kastelitz up onto the banking once again at turn 14, and then you've got that view and you could just hear, listen to the engine note. His foot is buried as hard as it'll go into the floorboards as he heads towards Tarzan. Now he's onto the braking point. You can see he's just fighting the wheel a little bit, under braking. It was a real workout here, round the 180 right-hander of Tarzan, then into turn 2. Great perspective from our onboard camera here, and in a moment we're going to see him tilt right up on that 90 degrees of banking. There's nothing like it in European circuit racing, and now he comes out of 4 into 5. You'll see that there's not much of a view as they head up the hill here. As a blind crest, up over they go. The weight of the car going high, the car bottoming out as it goes up the hill, then down to Scheiblack. Once again, a really tricky right-hander. Then it's back into the right-hander of turn 8 once again. And with the later in the afternoon race for GT Masters, you've got the sun getting a little bit lower in the sky as well. That's all added to visibility issues for the drivers.
Yeah, so back to make their way on the next corner down towards the chicane. Another of the slowest parts. The first corner's the slowest. You see them stand on the brakes, get to down from 250 odd kilometres an hour to just about 90, 85 kilometres an hour. But hard on the brakes again, coming into turns 11 and 12, as you can see. Down to second gear, down again to about just 90 kilometres an hour. Even slower through the second part. Get on it again, heading up towards turn 13, heading up to 200 kilometres an hour. Shortly, not yet, hold it on the throttle, hold it in third gear. Now start to build the speed up. And by the time they ping out of this corner at Ari Leyendijk, they will be touching 200 kilometres an hour. So this coming through shot, the battle for second. On the lights, flash the headlights, try and just distract the driver ahead, but Mark Kastelitz not quite in touch yet with Fabio Rauer in that BMW, who's trying to hunt down. And then behind them, Colin Berninghausen doing his best, you know, to get involved in this. He's got that gap down. He was 2 seconds behind. He's now 1.4 seconds behind the sister Porsche.
Yeah, it looks like 2, 3, 4 and 5 are all closing in on each other. We've still got 4.5 minutes remaining of this race, so Tim Zimmermann cannot rest on his laurels. Finn Zulauf might have disappeared off up the road, but second place is by no means done and dusted. And Fabio Rauer in the number 10 car would very much like to get his first podium in ADAC GT Masters. Well, he's in a position to do that, but he'd like it to be the second step, if at all possible. Mark Kastelitz in the background, Colin Berninghausen closing in as well, so double Razzoon more than racing Porsches in the background. Zimmermann looks to be under control at the moment, the most experienced driver in the field in his 72nd race of ADAC GT Masters, in that second place, but some 5.3 seconds back from race leader Finn Zulauf now. We ride on board with Finn Zulauf on the left-hand side of your screen. You can see the pictures there. Finn Zulauf with an empty track in front and an empty track behind.
Yeah, doing an excellent job, and as I say, the team made a very good call, didn't they, to bring that Lamborghini in early, so it wasn't getting stuck when Felix Erzinger was driving the car in that queue of 4 that we had for the lead of the race just before the pit stop window opened. They brought him in straight away, and obviously a good stop and some very good outlaps as well by Finn Zulaf, and he was relatively comfortably clear from 4th to 1st once the pit stops had sorted themselves out. And since then he's just been quicker, hasn't he, than Zimmerman, who, as you say, is carrying this 20 kilograms of success ballast on that orange and black FK Performance BMW. Fabio Rao, though, and Storm Yerdrum just a few minutes away now on a maiden podium in the GT3 category. New to GT3 racing and ADAC GT Masters, only their 4th outing together. They've been entertaining, that's for sure. Both putting off some really good moves. Edge of the seat stuff at times from Storm Yerdrum. Bit over the edge at times when he went through the gravel trap and lost a bit of the bodywork of the BMW. But very good to watch and doing a fine job. But not over yet. He's got to stay focused here. It's always more difficult for the driver that's being caught than the driver that's doing the catching, and trying to do the catching at the moment are those 2 Porsches. Actually, though, I'd say the one that looks most likely is the one in 5th, Colin Berninghausen, because he's charging, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Colin Berninghausen, well, we know how good he is. We've seen him many, many times in the Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Deutschland. But he, along with Leo Pickler, they took the win in race 2 at Red Bull Ring, their first ever, well, certainly it was Colin Berninghausen's first ever win in ADAC GT Masters, and would really love to add to that tally. Right, look at Sandro Holzem, far from closing in on Nicholas Callas, is having to defend like mad from Jamie Day, who in turn is having to defend from John Paul Southern. This is for 7th place. At the moment, Southern is just taking the heat of Sandro Holzem a little bit by occupying the mirrors of Jamie Day. We're heading towards the last 90 seconds of timed racing into turn 13. We will come once again. That's allowed Sandro Holzem just to break clear a little, but Jamie Day now with John Paul Southern turning the pressure up. 4 points, 8th place is what he is trying to take away from Jamie Day. And along the pit straight we come in towards Tarzan. Turn 1 once again under braking. And John Paul Southern not really close enough to do anything about it at the moment. Meanwhile, our race leader is up at turn 7. I think he is probably going to get back to the line. Is he going to get back to the line before the clock strikes 0? When the clock does strike 0, it'll be what remains on the lap that Finn Zulaf is on, then 1 more before we see the checkered flag.
Yeah, I think he'll get back. I think he's just about to come up to turn 10, isn't he? 49 seconds left on the clock. But of course, that last, in terms of race, or in terms of distance, that last third of the lap is gobbled up pretty quickly because it's got the high-speed stuff at the end of it. Great battle here, though, as you say. Sandro Holzem didn't really come forward as much as I thought he would after that restart. Jamie Day, we knew would go on the attack. And John Paul Southern here, having, I think, probably his best performance so far. It's the start of his first full season in the championship. He has guested a few times, guested last year. Oh, big slide from Holzem there. Was there a bit of contact? Jamie Day takes advantage, gets the Aston Martin through, and John Paul Southern is going to follow suit as they make their way down towards the chicane at turns 11 and 12. So Jamie Day up into 7th, John Paul Southern up to 8th, and Sandro Holzem drops from 7th down to 9th as the clock ticks down to 0, and into turn 1 goes the race leader.
John Paul Southern did get a 5th place back in 2023 at the Red Bull Ring, but certainly this is the best I've seen him go in recent times in ADAC GT Masters. But Jamie Day has checked out of there, and Holzem has been relegated as we head with the clock struck 0. So I think there was still time on the clock when the leader came past, wasn't there? So it'll be what remains of this lap, then 1 more before we see the checkered flag. So still plenty of time for things to change, especially here. Well, Jamie Day now in that 7th place has opened up a gap, but John Paul Southern and Sandro Holzem scrapping over the points for 8th place in the closing stages of this race. Finn Zulaf has 6.4 seconds on Tim Zimmerman, so a really comfortable lead. Tim Zimmerman with about 9/10 on Fabio Rauer, so maybe Fabio Rauer might be fancying a challenge in the closing stages of this race. We look now on the exit of 4 and 5 as the cars come rattling up over the hill. There's Emil Yerdrum. Up ahead of him is Ethan Brown. He's made really good progress into the top 10. Behind Emil Yerdrum is Joseph Ellerine in the yellow and green BMW. But Ethan Brown, really solid in the number 19 car. Having taken over from Tim Hooter, has really taken to this track really well. Into the top 10 in only his 4th race in ADAC GT Masters. Meanwhile, out across the line to start the final lap it's Finn Zulauf.
Yeah, excellent stuff. He only got one race win last year, Finn Zulauf. That was here at Zandvoort in the Lamborghini with Simon Conor Prim. He's already on course for 2 wins out of 4 races this year. It'll be a win, a third and a fourth as his results.
And we've got a penalty lap that has been issued for Jamie Day for causing a collision with Sandro Holzem. So the stewards have got involved, and that is a real shame. It'll probably be 5 seconds that will be added onto his time after the race. There's not enough time to take a penalty lap. So Jamie Day is going to lose that 7th place, and John Paul Southern will be another elevation of a place for him, and Sandro Holzem will also come through as well. It is the final lap of the race, race 4 of a 12-race season, the second race here at Circuit Zandvoort in this 2026, the 20th anniversary of the ADAC GT Masters, and it's Finn Zulauf who's taken the lead of the race. It was Nicholas Callas and Keanu Blum who put it on pole position and who led the early part of the race. Nicholas Callas taking over, but not enjoying the pace that they had early on, down to 6th place now. But Tim Zimmerman, Leighton Fury in 2nd place. Yesterday's winners have been keeping the leader honest, but now he's broken clear by just over 7 seconds. He won the race this time last year here at Zandvoort. He won his 2nd race at the Red Bull Ring at the season opener. He can now call himself a 3 times winner in ADAC GT Masters, and a 2nd ever win for Felix Hersiger, his co-driver. A great haul of points to extend the lead at the top of the championship. 2nd across the line, Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury, and a 1st ever podium for Fabio Rauer and Storm Yerdrum. Your 1, 2, 3, a really solid drive for Mark Kastelitz as well in the number 14 car, along with Pavel Lefteroff and Colin Berninghausen and Leo Pickler rounding out the top 5. The pole sitter, Nicholas Callas, along with Keanu Blum, they will be fairly, I'd say, frustrated by a 6th place. The day promised an awful lot, but 6th place was as good as it was going to get. In 7th place, Jamie Day and Baudouin Detu in the number 39 Aston Martin, and they were ahead of, in fact, just looking, of course, with that time penalty added, they dropped down to 9th place. So 7th goes to John Paul Southern and Jonas Karklees in the 163 car, and the Holzem twins in 8th place ahead of Jamie Day and Baudouin Detu. And a good job in the number 19 car, the sister car to the one that has won the race, for Ethan Brown and Tim Hooter. And then in 11th place, Emil Yerdrum and Max Rice, and they'll be very frustrated by that. But they were ahead of Joseph Ellerine and Jan Duran, rounding up the top 12, rounding out what was a fairly action-packed race for the ADAC GT Masters.
Yeah, good news for the team as well. Liqui Team Engsler, because really tight coming into that race in the team's championship. HRT had 78 points, 76 for FK Performance, 75 for Razoon, and 70 for Engsler. But they get the win, and they also get that very strong 7th place.
And there you can see the classification of race 2, all subject to confirmation after the cars have been scrutinized, and the race directors have looked at probably an awful lot of video, but I don't think there's any doubting at all. Finn Zulauf and Felix Hersiger taking their 1st win as a duo, their 2nd win as a duo this season. They took their 1st at the Red Bull Ring, and extending their lead in the championship. Those are the positions, 11 down to 14. Of course, we lost a couple of cars, Max Cucuresi, Alan Valente. We lost Simon Conor Prim along with Robin Rogowski in that issue that brought out the red flag on the exit of turn 14. But as is always the way with the ADAC GT Masters, they entertain the crowd here in the Dutch sunshine. A brilliant, brilliant performance for race 4. And just while the cars are coming into the pit lane, to remind you that the next 2 races for the ADAC GT Masters, both of which will take place at the Lausitz, part of the DTM weekend there, will be endurance races. So they will be 80 minutes in duration with 2 pit stops. A very different dynamic as we look again at Felix Hersiger climbing the fencing and cheering Finn Zulauf as he brings the number 63 car home across the line. So yeah, the endurance race, it's 2 rounds, 4 races that will be endurance races. The other one taking place at the fearsome Salzburg Ring. That will be in September. So plenty to look forward to as this season progresses.
Yeah, Lausitz Ring next, a very different proposition, and but Resume More Than Racing will be happy to go back there, because that's where we started the season in 2025, and Leo Pickler and Simon Birch, driving the Resume More Than Racing Porsche, got wins in both of the races at the Lausitz Ring last year, albeit it was rain affected that weekend. We'll see what it brings. It's usually either very hot or very wet at the Lausitz Ring, usually very hot. But there are the very happy duo. Felix Herzinger there, sporting his very cool moustache and Pirelli hat, and just fresh out of the car, Finn Zulav, who's won 2 races in 2 years now here at Zandvoort. 2 wins for them this season, and as I say, extending their championship lead, 85 points for them. But a very strong weekend, back in the mix now for last year's runners-up, Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury. They're a bit downbeat after only managing a 4th and an 11th, wasn't it, in Red Bull Ring. But a win, a 2nd place here, up to 2nd in the championship on 67 points ahead of Keanu Blum and Nicholas Callas, who are 3rd on 62.
So Blum and Callas, well, they'd had a 2nd, a 5th and a 3rd up until now, so they'll be a bit frustrated by that, but without a doubt they too are going to be championship contenders. As we see Tim Zimmerman just putting the hat on there, there's Finn Zulav, who's not even had a chance to take the helmet off yet, and he is being congratulated by the team. Felix Herzinger there. And there is Storm Yerdrum, always smiling, he's always buzzing. I don't think I've ever seen anyone quite as excited after a race as I did at the Red Bull Ring. He is absolutely loving it. Watch out, everybody, the oncoming Storm has arrived. This is his first trip to the podium in ADAC GT Masters. It's most certainly not his last.
Yeah, really good pairing that, isn't it? Fabio Rauer as well. Just got on with it, didn't he? As soon as he got into the car after that pit stop. So Storm recovered from his earlier indiscretion. They can't remember, from 9th on the grid they came to the podium. Really good effort.
Yeah. And the left rear quarter of the BMW tells a story of its own. And the team will get that repaired. There's only a bit of a scratch, isn't it? And I've no doubt they will be contenders when we regather the Lausitz Ring. And of course, this duo, along with Fabio Rauer, that got the ball over, they are the kind of people that just learn each race. They get better and better each race. And when they're this good, this early on, you can imagine what they're going to be like once the season comes to an end.
Both tall drivers, these two, aren't they? A very similar height, actually, but Finn Zulav and Felix Herzinger, 2 of the tallest drivers in the championship. And yeah, really good job. Seems to be a good pair in this, well matched. The car is quick, seems to have been quick at 2 very different circuits now. Let's see how we get on at the Lausitz Ring. But when as I say, you've only got a 12 race championship. It's really important, isn't it, to get off to a good start, because I know we've only had 2 weekends, we've only had 4 races, but we're already a third of the way through the championship.
Yes, it's crazy how quickly it passes, isn't it? Felix Herzinger, we saw him winning the Trofeo Pirelli in the Ferrari Challenge Europe last year, and he was mighty impressive there. But the step into ADAC GT Masters, I mean, it really, this is really top-level stuff, and against the likes of Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury as well, to beat them is no mean feat. So we've seen Finn Zulav, he's come through as a former champion of ADAC GT4 Germany. We know how good he is. Zulav and Herzinger, we knew that was going to be a really potent combination. But they've got the relative experience when you add the years together of Zimmerman and Fury, although Fury is still only in his 2nd year of GT Masters.
He's 19, isn't he,
yeah,
Fury?
But Zimmerman, with 72 races under his belt, so has a bit of experience in that team. And then you have got the proper inexperience of Fabio Rauer and Storm Yerdrum as well. So it's a nice cross-section of ages and of experience on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was just thinking as well, I wonder, I suppose it will edge it that you won a race, but I wonder if that 2nd place feels almost as good as a race win for Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Fury, because with that success passed on board, it's just about as good as you can do, isn't it? A 2nd place finish with 20 kilograms extra on the car.
Yes, a 1st and a 2nd. I mean, that's only 1 place away from a double win, and those are very, very hard to do in ADAC GT Masters on the same weekend. Right, well, having a look at the number 10 FK Performance Motorsport BMW M4 with Fabio Rauer at the wheel, probably minus the rear section on the right-hand side, or was that before the damage occurred? There is the second place car. Again, FK Performance Motorsport, 2 of their cars on the podium. This time, Tim Zimmerman and Leighton Furry at the wheel of that car. The partnership that looked so strong last year. But coming out on top for the second time this season, the first repeat winners of 2026, Finn Zulauf and Felix Herziger in the Liquimoli Team Extra Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo take the win here at Zandvoort at a massive haul of points, 25 points in the championship. Puts them very, very strong at the top of the championship standings. So now we can hear the dulcet tones of Jan Schmidt on the podium, getting ready to welcome the drivers. There's Fabio Rauer just on the right-hand side. The Fabio Storm onto the podium. They come. There is Storm Jördrum. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again today. Remember, this time last year, he was racing a VW Up in the ADAC Junior Touring Wagon Championship. Oh, they grow up so quickly nowadays, don't they? Right, yesterday's winner, second on the podium. Leighton Furry and Tim Zimmerman. And then we get ready to welcome the winning duo. They've stood on the top step of the podium together once this year. They did that at the season opener, race 1 at the Red Bull Ring. They're making a habit of this because they're back there again. Your race winners of race 4, ADAC GT Masters, Finn Zulauf. Good job I'm not the announcer, isn't it? And Felix Herziger. So congratulations all around from everybody else on the podium. I think we might see a representative from Liquimoli Team Exler.
Team as well. Therefore, please welcome as representative of the team.
Don't know who it's going to be.
For Liquimoli Team Extra Motorsport, the team manager, Laura Wagner.
So Laura Wagner, the team manager. Boy, have they got their work cut out. We've got 3 cars in this. They've got to keep Luca Engel under control somehow as well, racing in DTM. Great team, a real family atmosphere around that team, and a great reward for their hard work. And the road to DTM.
Car number 11. Please make some noise for Leighton Furry once again.
And Leighton Furry wins in the road to DTM. Subject to confirmation. So now we'll have the German national anthem.
Congratulations to each and everyone on the podium.
So we were just double checking the maths there. Yeah, it does look like Leighton Furry scored the maximum points in the road to DTM. So, yeah, of course, a good points haul for qualifying in the road to DTM. As Eric Vyers, Chief Sporting Officer at Circuit Zandvoort, presents the trophies to Felix Herziger and Finn Zulauf.
For the winners, Finn Zulauf and
Lovely
Felix
trophies. Iconic track. Always a treat to come here. We're always made to feel so welcome by the circuit, by the marshals, by the locals. Matteo Braga, circuit manager Pirelli, will present the second place trophies to the second place drivers, and they say thank you very much for providing us with tyres that took us all the way to the end. The Pirelli tyres for GT Masters.
Head of Development, IAM and Motorsports.
Stephen Sturker, Head of Development of IAM and Motorsport, Heinrich Eibach, presents the third place trophies to Fabio Rauer and Storm Jördrum, and those I've got to shake his hand. That's it. Those are trophies that they will remember for a long time. Their first wins in the ADAC GT, well, their first podium, should I say, in ADAC GT Masters. And the winning team trophy presented as well.
And one trophy is still left for the road.
And the Road to DTM trophy will be presented to Leighton Fury, and he'll take that all the way back to South Africa. He comes an awful long way to race here. He's making it worth his while as he scores those valuable points on the road to DTM. He won yesterday along with Tim Zimmerman, and they got a second today. But the headline today from Circuit Zandvoort in race 4 of the ADAC GT Masters, it's a second win of the season for Finn Zulauf and Felix Hersiger. So we take a short break of just about 3 or 4 weeks, and then we will reconvene as we head to Germany for the first German round of the ADAC GT Masters, and it will be 2 endurance races, something entirely different. 80-minute races with 2 pit stops, races 5 and 6, as we will then head into the halfway point of the season. It's been an absolute joy to be here at Circuit Zandvoort this weekend in the glorious sunshine. From myself, Brian Oliver, and Chris Hartley, we'll see you at the Lausitz Ring. Bye-bye.
Racing. Wonderful stuff.